Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Read out from closed session.
Yes, somewhere. Okay, hold on. Okay, we did take action in closed session. The Glendora Unified Board of Trustees in closed session upon a motion by Elizabeth Reuter, seconded by Paul Lopez, and a vote of 5 yes, 0 no, has rejected the claims number HCMS 013-000384. Okay, that's all that we did in well, we did a lot more in closed session, but that's the reportable action from closed section. I need a motion to adopt the agenda, please.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda with one amendment in Ed Consent Item 16.12. The cube together is listed under Title II, but it should actually be under GATE/LCAP funding.
Okay, Mrs. Reuter made a motion to approve the agenda with that correction.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. I'm supposed to welcome you all into attendance, so thank you. Again, thank you for being here. We are now going to swear in the officers, and we will start with Gary Clifford. If you will please stand, raise your right hand, and you know to put your name in there.
Yes.
Okay.
Or do you want to go up to the?
Yeah, and do you want to go to the podium, because those at home won't be able to hear it, you stand right over there.
Yes.
Can you talk in the microphone? Test the microphone.
Test microphone.
I, Gary Clifford,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
That I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the
swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that will bear true faith and allegiance
that will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and I will well and faithfully discharge
and I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, I almost got them all here tonight. I have my beautiful wife Debbie, our oldest son Brandon, his wife Nicole, and then we have Sienna, a cheerleader at Glendora High School, and then we have Sophia and Jackson.
One, two, and then just a second. One, two.
I love that oath of office. As I read that, I just almost tear up. I mean, the first time when I was on the library board, I did cry, I think. It's just, I love it. Let's see. So tonight is our board reorganization. So we'll now conduct the election of officers for the Glendora Unified School District Board of Education for the ensuing year, beginning tonight, December 12th, 2022, through the organizational meeting in December 2023. Hold on. Get to,
Yeah, I mean, this is your good last shot. Get
yeah,
it going.
I should have hit it harder.
I mean,
Nominations for the office of board president are now open. Are there any nominations?
I nominate Elizabeth Ruder.
There is a nomination on the floor for Elizabeth Reeder for the office of president. Are there any other nominations?
You gotta ask for a second for that nomination.
It doesn't say that.
I think you
Okay,
do.
I'm just saying, it doesn't say that. Do I have a second?
I'll second the nomination.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. It was made by Mrs. Garcia. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor of electing Elizabeth Ruder for the office of president for the ensuing year, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You have unanimously elected Elizabeth Ruder as president of the Glendora Unified School District Board of Education.
Thank you, the United States of America. Thank you very much.
I just read Constitution. She's in for the ensuing year. Congratulations.
Thank you. Just stay.
Are you good there?
Yeah, we'll do it next time. You've got
Otherwise, it
all
would
your
say my
paperwork
name
right
is-
there. It's totally fine. Thank you all very much. I really appreciate your support. We're going to move right along for the office of vice president. Nominations for the office of vice president of the board are now open. Are there any nominations?
I would like to nominate Gary Clifford for the office of vice president of the Glendora School Board.
Second.
Okay, I think Robin got there a little bit faster, so nominated Gary Clifford as vice president by Mr. Lopez and seconded by Ms. Merkley. Is there any conversation, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Clifford, vice president of the school board. Oh, I'm supposed to gavel in between, but that's really Robin's thing. The next thing is nominations for the office of board clerk are now open. Are there any nominations for the office of board clerk? I would like to nominate Mrs. Garcia for the office of board clerk.
Second.
The nominations are Mrs. Reuter for Mrs. Garcia and Mrs. Merkley second. Are there any discussion in that matter? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, Mrs. Garcia, in the office of clerk this year. Moving on to the next item, as the Secretary of the Board of Education, may I please have a motion to appoint Dr. Dominic DeGrazia to serve as the Secretary to the Board of Education for the ensuing year?
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Okay, Mrs. Merkley motioned. Was it you, Mr. Lopez?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, Dr. DeGrazia. Okay, now we move on to the different committees that we all serve on. And our first is selecting a representative to the Los Angeles County Committee on School District Organizations. Is it appropriate for me to ask who did this last year, or do we need to start with a motion first? Like, we have a lot of new people this year, maybe it would be helpful for them to know what these offices are before we motion or set somebody into positions.
It's on the, it shows,
Okay, is everybody comfortable? That's fine by me. I just want to make sure everybody's comfortable with the descriptions and moving forward that way. Right on. Okay, may I please have a nomination for the representative to the Los Angeles County Committee on School District Organization?
I'll nominate Paul Lopez.
Okay, I'd be happy to second that. Any discussion?
Do you accept that?
You're familiar with what this office is, when sometimes, Dr. DeGrazia, maybe you could
I can
fill in a
speak to
little
that.
bit. Yep.
Trustee Lopez may change his mind on this after my description. I think this is a 1 to 2 meeting a year position, and where the group will meet to discuss organization or reorganization, or a move to trustee areas in different districts, discussing things of that nature.
Feeling okay about this? Right on. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Lopez. The next one will be designation of a board representative to the Los Angeles County School Trustees Association. May I have a motion? A nomination?
A volunteer.
Can you tell us a little bit about that one?
Yes, I can. This one meets quarterly, so about 3 or 4 times a year. They are alternating between in-person and virtual meetings this year. We have had 2. Ordinarily, there's a guest speaker and a topic, such things as family engagement. COVID was obviously a main topic, and how districts were handling COVID or COVID guidelines and so forth from their county. Things of that nature.
I'll take that one.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and nominate Mr. Clifford for that one.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Congratulations, Mr. Clifford, to being the board representative to the Los Angeles County School Trustees Association. I think it is great for a new member to be represented, of our board, to be represented on that committee. Thank you for that self-nomination there. Okay, moving on to 7.9, selection of the Board of Trustees committee assignments for 20.23. Do we have a list of all those?
Yes, so,
Right.
Get would be the first one, and Mrs. Reuter was the representative in 2022.
They meet on Wednesday evenings, once the third Wednesday of the month, usually at about 7 p.m. Is there anybody that would be, that conflicts with my schedule, but otherwise I would love to do it. Okay, I'm going to nominate Mrs. Merkley then.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Mrs. Merkley, congratulations.
The next one is
PTA Council.
and Ms. Ford was representative.
Does anybody know when that,
First Thursday.
First Thursday? Yeah.
okay. Is there anybody that would like to volunteer or make a nomination?
I can do the PTA council, if you want to do it, it's fine.
Either one,
Okay.
I'm open.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Monica.
Okay, Mrs. Garcia. Mr. Lopez nominates, Mrs. Garcia seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mrs. Garcia. She did, Mrs. Garcia.
She seconded herself.
That's right. Okay, moving on to the Coordinated School Health Committee that Mrs. Merkley has done since maybe you've been on the board the entire time.
Nah, I had a year off.
Okay. Does anybody need information on what the School Health Committee is, or could you tell us when it meets, ma'am?
I don't remember.
I'll make a motion to keep her there.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, okay, forget. Thanks,
Mr.
Mr. Osborne. We, just right back, okay.
I will second that.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Merkley is going to stay on the School Health Committee. Moving on to the Chamber of Commerce Legislative Action, that's Ms. Borg, and that meets during the day on, Mr. Clifford, help me out here.
Lunchtimes, I'm on that already.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Would you like to keep moving on that
I
one?
can do a 2-for-1 on that, so yeah.
Okay,
I'll second that.
all right, that's wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Clifford, for all those in favor? Aye. Thank you, Mr. Clifford, for the Legislative Action Committee. I've always really enjoyed that meeting, too. It's a wealth of information that we get to share with our city council members. I really appreciate it. Okay, moving on to the Glendora Coordinating Council, which you really have been on forever.
And I am. I still am a co-chair of the Holiday Basket, so.
And that's why I'm gonna make a motion for her to stay right there.
I'll second that.
Thank you,
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Clifford.
Mr. Clifford and Mr. Lopez, Mrs. Merkley can stay right there on the Glendora
I think I'm out.
Coordinating Council. Oh,
No, I'm
that's
just-
it, you're done now? Okay. This is a really great one, and I'd like to encourage one of our new school board members to participate in this one, the LCAP Stakeholder Committee. And that meets quarterly?
Yeah, on average, I would say quarterly.
I would say on average quarterly.
Maybe a little more than that at the end, but.
Okay. Let me see. Okay, Mrs. Garcia only has one so far, so,
I nominate Mrs. Garcia.
okay.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Mrs. Garcia to the LCAP Stakeholder Committee. The final, I believe it's the final, committee here is the San Gabriel Valley ROP Joint Board of Management for a 2-year term. If it's not too presumptuous, I've got no other assignments here, I would like to nominate myself. I've taken a real interest in working with Mrs. Bakar on this, and I've attended a couple of the meetings sort of in the transition and really feel strongly about the positive future for every single student here in Glendora as it relates to continuing CTE programs, ROP programs, et cetera, so.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. All right, so Mr. Clifford and Mrs. Garcia, Mrs. Reuter for the 2-year term in the it's not the East San Gabriel now it's the entire San Gabriel Valley ROP. Okay, that concludes that portion of our agenda.
Because we vote.
Right, I'll do just these 3, and then we're gonna let any of our family members who feel like maybe they have additional things that they need to take care of this evening, move right along. So, item 7.10, regular board meeting calendar for the 2023 governing board year. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Merkley.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We have ratified the regular board meeting calendar for the 2023 governing board year. Moving on, 7.11, annual certification of authorized signature resolution number 22-23-07. May I have a motion? Thank you, Mrs. Garcia.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Merkley. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Finally, item 7.12, conclusion of the organizational portion of the meeting. May I have a motion to conclude the organizational part of this
I
meeting?
move that we conclude the organizational part of the meeting.
Second.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Merkley. Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Any questions or comments? Okay, that was actually very easy. Thank you all. It was a lot for 3 new people to get through all of that. I really appreciate everybody's support on everything. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? I guess I'm gonna say we have concluded the organizational part of the meeting.
We need to have a lesson.
Okay, so now we're gonna take 2 minutes to excuse anybody that may want to excuse themselves from this part of the meeting. We've got a couple of different breaks as we move on. You're all welcome to stay. We've got a first interim budget that is a page turner. It is. Thank you to all of our families and friends and community members that came to support our candidates.
Members of the city council to speak.
Anybody that's seated in the back of the room that would like to come up now, we have half a dozen or so chairs at the front. So please come forward.
Well, how many people were outside?
I don't know if
There would be
more red ribbon families. I would have thought.
We still have more up front. There are two on this side. We have two more up front on this side, all the way up. We still have two more
There's
up
two
front
more
over
up
here. Outside.
And two more over here by Mr. Granquist over here.
They probably.
All right, in the sake of continuing to move this right along, I will get started, and I'm going to invite Mr. Osborne up to the front here to start our board recognition section. This is a wonderful part of the evening, and our Red Ribbon Week poster winners. Thank you, Mr. Osborne.
Thank you, Mrs. Reuter. Welcome new board members, Dr. DeGrazia, Cabinet. It is my great honor to recognize our Red Ribbon Week poster contest winners for the district this evening. Students and families, please, you could come on in. We have some in overflow. And what we're going to do is we're going to call your name, and your student could come on up, and they're going to get a certificate from me and Mrs. Cornelius, and then they're going to stand behind our table here. And when we're all finished, we'll take a picture. I'd like to point everybody's attention, kind of behind me, is the students' artwork is posted up on the wall over here. And the students did an absolute incredible job this year, and we're so very proud of each and every one of them. So at this time, I would like to invite up Stanton TK student, Kaylee Bailey. Come on up, Kaylee. We have you as TK. Okay, well, we're gonna, I'm sorry about that, but we will get you a certificate. There we go. Sorry about that, Kaylee. Our records might be off tonight. Hopefully not. She grew a lot. She does not look like a TKer. Sorry about that, Kaylee. 4th grade at Stanton. Next up, we have Hannah Wang. Hannah Wang? Here she comes. And Hannah, are you from kindergarten at Cohen? All right, good job. Okay. Second guessing my data here. Next up, we have Benjamin Navarro from La Fecha, 1st grade. Benjamin. Next up, we have Miles Zhang, La Fecha, 2nd grader. Third grade from La Fecha, Amelia Orozco. For 5th grade, Cullen student, Cheryl Wang. Did we forget McKenna, 4th grade? Do we have 4th grade here? We have 4th grade there, right? Is there a McKenna Quatch from Sutherland here as well? There she is, McKenna. Didn't want to forget you, McKenna. And 6th grade at Sandburg, we have Mackenzie Quatch. Seventh grade Goddard student, Shailina Preshkas. 8th grade Goddard student, Yuan Zhang. Yuan Zhang. Ninth grade Glendora High School student, Sapphira Prashkas. And 12th grade student, Priscilla Calderon. Let's give one more big round of applause for all the Ribbon Week students. Why don't you guys kind of squeeze in? And if Dr. DeGrazia and the board would like to stand up, that would be wonderful. We'll take a group picture. Show your certificates. And big smiles, look right there. All right, congratulations. Good job, kids. I should announce that the students all received Chick-fil-A from our generous donor, as well as 2 movie tickets as part of the winning. So congratulations to all the
Mr.
students.
Osborne, I'm sorry. Could you, I'm sorry to do this, could you tell us what the theme for this year's Red Ribbon Week
It
was?
has been a very long time,
Uh-huh,
so I would have to get back to you on that. I don't
okay.
recall
Do any
the
of the
theme.
students remember what the theme was this year?
I'd probably look at a poster.
Yep,
Celebrate life.
celebrate life.
Celebrate life.
Okay,
You knew that, you knew that.
We celebrate life all the time.
we do,
Yeah.
we do.
Kids did a fantastic job.
Thank you to all of our students and their families that came out this evening. I encourage everybody on their way out to take a look at our the posters. They clearly have done a lot of really hard work over there. I will give everybody a minute here for 1 minute if our families would like to. You're welcome to stay with us. Again, we have a really good budget to go over here in a few minutes. Oh, we do have the Royal Stewards that are about to perform, though, if you're interested in hearing a little bit of music. So you're welcome to stay for that, but I also know it's maybe getting late for some of our younger students. Thank you, Mr. Osborne.
Thank you.
Okay. While everybody's filtering out there, I was going to see if Mr. Matt Davis, our choir director for Glendora High School, might be willing to come on up and make the introduction and kick us off here. Yep. We're all in for a real treat.
All right, good evening, everyone. So I'm Matthew Davis, and I'm the choir director at Glendora High School, Goddard Middle School, and Sandburg Middle School. This is my second year in Glendora, and I am just so excited to be here. We've been doing some really, really great things with the choirs, both this year and last year, and I'm really excited to see what we're able to accomplish the rest of this year. The students that you see in front of you are members of the Royal Stewards. So this year, we actually started a caroling group, and all of these students are members of that caroling group. And so we go around town, and we just carol at various events. It's a really great fundraiser for the choir, and everything you're about to see is all done a cappella, which means it's done without any sort of accompaniment, piano playing, or anything like that. It's all done with just their voices. Now, it is that time of year, it is flu season, so we're unfortunately missing a few of our carolers, so you might see an older singer that looks a lot like me singing with the choir. Okay, it's not me, I'm still directing, but just, suspend your disbelief just for a little bit, all right? Here we go.
Here we come a-caroling among the leaves so green. Here we come a-wandering so fair to be seen. Love and joy come to you, and to you glad Christmas too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year. We are not daily beggars that beg from door to door. We are neighbors' children whom you have seen before. Love and joy come to you, and to you glad Christmas too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year. God bless the master of this house, likewise the mistress too. All the little children that round the table go. Love and joy come to you, and to you glad Christmas too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year.
The bells, sweet silver bells, all seem to say, throw cares away. Christmas is here, bringing good cheer to young and old, meek and the bold. Ding dong, that is our song, which joyful ring, all caroling.
One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they pound, rising their sound, o'er hill and dale, telling their tone. Gaily they ring, while people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here. Ding dong, that is their song. Joy, joyful ring, all caroling. Ding dong, ding dong.
How the bells, sweet silver bells, all seem to say, throw cares away. Christmas is here, bringing good cheer to young and old, meek and the bold. Ding dong, that is our song, which joyful ring, all caroling.
One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they pound, rising the sound, o'er hill and dale, telling their tone. Gaily they ring, while people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here. Ding dong, that is their song, which joyful ring, all caroling. Ding dong, ding ding. On they send, on without end, dear and joyful tone to every home.
Dong, ding dong.
Silent night. one more for you this evening. A little upbeat one. We like to end all of our gigs with this one.
Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. Joy to the world, the Savior reigns. Let man their songs employ, while fields and floods, rocks, hills and plains, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy. No more the sin and sorrow grow, nor thorns infest the ground. He comes to make his blessings flow. For as the curse is found, he rules the world with truth and grace, and makes the nations prove the glories of his righteousness, and wonders of his love, and wonders of his love, and wonders of his love, and wonders of his love.
Good job, you guys. Nice. All right, thank you all so much for having us tonight. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Merry Christmas.
Thank you all so much for coming. I think we could all listen to you all night. We really appreciate you bringing the cheer to this board meeting this evening. Thank you.
No male exotic dancers, right?
Not, nope, nope. Claremont. Okay, we're going to move right along to item 9.2. We're going to invite our friends from Citrus College up to talk about the Citrus College Partnership Update presented by Dr. Patricia Rasmussen. No? Okay, I didn't see her out there. Okay, and Dr. Greg Schultz. Welcome, Dr. Schultz.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here and also to enjoy the beautiful music from our musical scholars. That was awesome. Maybe we'll have a few Citrus singers in the future. We can only hope at Citrus College. They have beautiful voices. With that, we have a presentation that we can bring up in just a moment. But greetings from Citrus College. I'm Greg Schultz, and it's my pleasure to serve as the Superintendent President at Citrus College. I'd also like to introduce my colleague, Dr. Eric Calderon, who's here this evening. Dr. Calderon serves as our Chief Information Services Officer, and we're thrilled to have him. He just joined the college in October. I'm also excited to share with you that he is a proud alumni of Glendora High School, and early in his career, he worked as an IT professional in the district. So thank you for sharing his talents with us at Citrus College. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we're thrilled to be here with you this evening. I need to tell you, Dr. Pat Rasmussen really wanted to be here with us this evening. She's a little under the weather. And so I assured her I would share her greetings with you. She's proud to be a Glendora resident, and she's served as a member of the Citrus Community College District Board of Trustees as a community elected trustee since 2007. So she's also very proud to serve the city of Glendora and excited about the partnership that our districts have had. Next slide, please. Since I joined Citrus College in July of 2021, I've had the privilege of working alongside and getting to know many outstanding individuals from faculty and staff, students, alumni, and many community partners. Today, I'd like to briefly share some highlights from the past academic year and discuss a few of the great things that are happening at Citrus College. Next slide, please. Thank you. First, I'd like to begin with a brief history of the college. Citrus College was founded in 1915 by educator Floyd Hayden, and Citrus College is the oldest community college in Los Angeles County and the 5th oldest in the state of California. Citrus College has a beautiful 104-acre campus that includes 44 buildings and 7 outdoor athletic facilities. We proudly serve almost 200,000 residents living in the communities of Claremont, Duarte, Monrovia, Bradbury, Azusa, and Glendora, as well as smaller portions of Covina, Urbandale, Pomona, San Dimas, and Laverne. Next, I'd like to share some exciting news from Citrus College on some accolades the college has received, thanks to the hard work of our faculty and staff and students. So next slide, please. Thank you. We were celebrated as a 2022 champion of higher education and an equity champion for excellence in transfer. Citrus College was also named a military-friendly school and a military-friendly spouse school, something we're very proud of. Citrus College earned a higher education award from the Arts Schools Network for supporting arts education in K-12 schools, and we were one of 150 community college out of thousands in the nation to compete for the prestigious 2023 Aspen Prize for Community College Excellence. Earlier this year, and I mean earlier, like January of 2022, we were pleased to learn officially that our accreditation was reaffirmed for a full 7 years by ACC-JC. That's the highest accreditation status a college or university can earn, so we're very proud of that. Next slide, please. I'm pleased to say that our enrollment is growing. We're growing back. It's growing each day. In fact, we watch our enrollment numbers throughout the fall, and we've begun registration for our winter and spring terms. For the first time in 2 years, we can say our fall enrollment is larger than this time 1 year ago. And we're very excited about that. In fact, this fall specifically, we're serving 10,300 students. We offer many in-person classes. In fact, the majority of our classes take place on our beautiful campus. Even so, we continue to have a very strong, robust online education program with many online classes to meet the needs of working adults and any student who has a desire to learn online due to their work and family responsibilities. So we have both. At a cost of only $46 per unit and financial aid and scholarships available, we think it's tremendous value. In fact, to top that, all first-time college students who attend full-time at Citrus College are eligible to become a Promise Scholar. So the Citrus College Promise Program is where students may attend tuition-free for 2 years. Many of your students leave the high school who come to Citrus College take advantage of this outstanding opportunity, and we couldn't be happier about it. Next slide, please. We have many other exciting things happening at Citrus College. In 2020, Citrus College established a DEI task force. The purpose of our diversity, equity, and inclusion task force is to understand how we, faculty, staff, and students as an institution can actively influence social changes needed to make a more impactful difference in eliminating structural racism and also promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion for all the students we serve. Our DEI task force has focused on developing and implementing a wide array of initiatives and measures designed to lead to an improved college culture of equity, diversity, and inclusion. In fact, in April 2022, we hired our first director of DEI, Ms. Taisha Thomas. Next slide, please. Citrus College has a robust health center on campus and many services available to students and employees. We recently hired a full-time mental health supervisor, Nadine Henley, to strengthen the mental health and wellness resources available to our campus community. She's made an immediate impact, and we're so pleased to have Nadine with us. Next slide, please. We want to thank everyone at the Glendora Unified School District for your support of our ongoing educational partnerships. As you know, dual enrollment is a fantastic program that allows high school students to enroll in courses in fall, spring, and summer that can earn both college and high school credit. During the 2021-2022 academic year, there were a total of 5 dual enrollment sections offered in Glendora Unified. Across the district, there were a total of 98 enrollments in these courses. I'm pleased to share that for this current year, in the classes we have planned in the spring, for 2022-2023, the number of dual enrollment sections has increased to 12 class sections. So thank you for making that possible for the students. At Citrus College, we're thrilled that so many of our local students are taking advantage of this opportunity. I have a few data points that show how connected our two districts are, and we're really pleased about it. As of October, 29 of our students, I mentioned the 10,300, right? Well, 29 of them are current high school students at Glendora High School. 182 of our students are Glendora Unified alumni who graduated this past year. An additional 442 students are alumni who graduated more than a year ago, and at Citrus College, 917 students are residents of Glendora. We're very proud of that. Next slide, please. We're so proud of our students, and I'd like to share a little bit about a couple of students. There's so many stories, but let me share some high-level statistics, and then I'll shine a light on a couple of students in particular. So first, I'd like to share that for the 2020-2021 academic year, we had 1,422 students transfer to a Cal State University school, the University of California, or in-state private university, or out-of-state university, including schools like Cal State Fullerton, UCLA, UC Berkeley, to name a few. One student in particular, Miss Paulina Gabriela Pimentel Mora, transferred to Yale University from Citrus College. She was involved in student government, worked in the Student Health Center, and was a part of the Honors Transfer Program and STEM Trio programs. She plans to double major in political science and history and minor in Spanish during her time at Yale University. She also saved her family a lot of money by starting at Citrus College, thousands of dollars. I'd also like to take this opportunity to highlight a story of an exceptional scholar from Glendora High School, a graduate who finished last May, Daniel Hall Macias. Something I want you to know about Daniel is he's a Glendora resident who graduated from Citrus College in June 2022. He also graduated from Glendora High School in May 2022. He was one of the youngest members of our Citrus College graduating class of 2022. He enrolled in dual enrollment program when he was 13. Through the early admit and dual enrollment program, students have access to enroll early in college. And he made the most of his opportunity. He completed 2 associate degrees and 2 certificates of achievement since that time at the age when many students are graduating high school. I got to meet with Daniel on the field at graduation after the ceremony. He has since transferred to UCLA. He started this fall at UCLA and is majoring in psychology. His dream is to become a lawyer and open his own law firm. I'm betting on him. I mean, he's accomplished quite a lot in a short period of time. I'll also note that in a brief part of the short video I'd like to share with you, he's featured in the commencement video. You may notice him with a graduate with a unique cap with blue feathers. So that's Daniel. Next slide, please. One of our most memorable events is commencement, held at Citrus College Stadium on June 18th of this past year. This was the first time that our students had the traditional in-person graduation since 2019 due to the pandemic. We had overall 1,821 students who graduated from Citrus College in June 2022, and many students achieved multiple certificate awards and degrees. In total, 2,118 degrees were awarded, and the top programs, most popular, included business administration, psychology, pre-allied health, sociology, and administration of justice. We also awarded 2,200 total career certificates. Top programs in these areas included cosmetology and barbering, administration of justice, child development, early care and education, real estate, and licensed vocational nursing. Next slide, please. So now I'd like to share a short video from our 2022 commencement ceremony that highlights the success of our students and reminds us that the work taking place in our districts really makes a life-changing impact. And let's look for Daniel to play the video, please. Some music, if it's... I don't think the the sound's currently on. There's Daniel. There he is. Thank you. And we've shared a copy of the video, and so if you'd like to view it later, you could do that as well. But thank you for playing that video. So with that, thank you for allowing us some time in your busy evening to share a little bit about the college that we love, Citrus College. And again, as Superintendent President, and on behalf of Dr. Rasmussen and our entire board, we're very grateful to serve your families and the students of the district, and we're grateful to continue our partnership. So thank you. And at this time, if you have any questions or comments you'd like to share, I'd be happy to do my best to answer those.
Thank you for the presentation. Loved it. I had a lot of questions about Citrus College, but I got an opportunity to speak to Dr. Rasmussen, and she answered a lot of those questions. So thank you for these numbers. I think they're very important, but I do have a couple questions.
Yes.
Do you have that same partnership with other high schools in the area with the dual enrollment?
That's a great question. We do. And the types of classes varies. What we aim to do is be good partners and do a lot of listening. And working with district administration, we like to serve students in a way that is, what we know that we think the children and the families want. And also we realize we all have different capacity, room, space, and things like this. But we have a variety of programs throughout the San Gabriel Valley, at least in the 5 cities that are in our direct service area.
Okay, and as far as your enrollment, you said we have 29 current GUSD high school students currently enrolled in that dual enrollment. How does that compare with the enrollment of other high schools in the area, students doing dual enrollment?
I would say, I don't have the numbers with me, but I know of a couple of programs to be of similar size and a couple of programs to be larger.
Okay.
In all fairness, I think the largest programs we had are some of those where we piloted some of this work
Okay.
Many years ago. I also, if you're curious, just to share a couple of examples. It's hard for me to remember all of these, but I wanted to be sure to share some really good examples of classes that we're really proud to offer in partnership with the district. So the types of classes that students have access to currently. And so I'll just share some examples from either last spring or this fall. At Glendora High School, we have English 101E, Reading and Composition Enhanced. We also offer Geography 118, Physical Geography. In addition, another example is we're offering Psychology 101, Intro to Psychology. So these are classes where the students are in college credit right now. And while we love it when they enroll at Citrus College immediately out of high school, and we welcome all of them, some students may access Pomona College or UCLA right out of high school. And these are the types of classes that will transfer into those institutions, saving time and money, even if they don't enroll at Citrus College right after high school. So I enjoyed meeting with Dr. DeGracia over the summer and look forward to any way we can support the goals that you have as a district. We love the opportunity to support the families and children in your district. And after today, if I can provide any additional information, we'd be in touch, and I'd be happy to share additional data or anything else that would be helpful. Thank you for your questions. If I could say, it was also wonderful to see so many of you Saturday at the Glendora Christmas parade.
Yes.
It was a good one.
Community.
Any other questions, Mr. Clifford, Mr. Lopez, Mrs. Merkley? I would also like to say, you didn't mention in your presentation, but you partnered with us this summer to help us run our summer school program for the first time. And I believe it was a quite a successful program for us to be working together with to facilitate the process. And I look forward to that shared and future partnership. So I just want to say thank you for the many ways that Citrus is serving Glendora Unified and our students.
Thank you. Thank you so much for mentioning that. We're very proud of that. It was just about a year ago that we had a ceremonial kickoff right here. And we had our first summer, and we were so pleased it was successful. We believed that it would be, but with the support we received from the district, we're really proud of that partnership as well.
Thank you very much, Dr. Schultz. We appreciate your time and your presentation this evening. 10.1 is a statement from the board president that I think that we can surpass this evening. Thank you all very much. You understand the 3-minute time on the clock here as we move into public comment. I have, and I'll roll right over into public comment, I have a total of, it looks like 3 public comment cards in my hand right now. And the first one is for Karen Davis and Gary Boyer. I also would like to acknowledge that I see our other council members in the audience as well. Thank you all for coming tonight.
Good evening, I'm Karen Davis, and as you mentioned, Gary Boyer, Mayor Pro Tem, is with me, and council members Alawas and Thompson. Councilmember Friedendahl was also here, but he needed to leave. There are many topics that are of mutual interest and concern between the city and the school district. And so we have enjoyed a long and productive partnership with the school district. So tonight we are here to congratulate and welcome Board Member Garcia, Lopez, and Clifford, that we look forward to continuing our collaboration and working with the school district. So welcome, congratulations, and we look forward to our partnership.
And then, you know, naturally welcome and congratulations, but we also want to thank the outgoing board members, Sandra Borg, Roxanne Fernando, and Corey Allenson. You know, it takes a lot of time and effort to step up and take on a position like this. So it's important to know that it really is appreciated, and we do look forward to continuing to work with you. Thank you. That's it.
The next card that I have here, I'm sorry, the handwriting is Andrew, it looks like Cullen.
It's okay. Actual handwriting.
What is it?
It's Andrew Cullen.
Okay, great. So I was right.
No, I wanted to say thank you. I'm a member of the community, and we all are, and we're all neighbors. And I think that's a really awesome thing about what civic government is remembering that when we're sitting here and we have an election and people are passionate and they're worried and they're thinking about things, that we're here for the children, but we're here to be neighbors with each other. And I saw all of you at the Christmas parade, and I ate at Lucabella, and I went to, you know, Classic Coffee, and, you know, I'm part of this community. I've been part of this community. My wife teaches in this district. And I think that's the ultimate thing to remember, that I sat here and the start of the meeting wasn't about us, but it was about our kids who came up and they showed us some awesome pictures, and they sang to us. And thank you for putting yourselves out there to be a part of that community, and to remind all of us, everyone here, everyone who watches, that we're all neighbors with one another, and that we're a big part of the community. I'm proud to be part of Glendora. I'm proud to live here. I'm proud that my wife teaches in this district, and my children go to these schools. So thank you for serving my kids. I appreciate that, because I really care about them a lot, and I want them to do well, but I want all of our kids to, because in the end, school districts are not about some mythical, figurative thing in big government. School districts are about our kids, right? And so thank you for putting them first and thinking about them, because that's really important. And I appreciate your guys' service and putting yourselves out there, because I know that's hard. And I know running for offices is challenging, and people get really into it. So thank you for that, and congratulations to our newest board member, Mr. Clifford, Mr. Lopez, Ms. Garcia. I think that's awesome. And to our returning board members, thank you for being a part of a community that I'm proud to be a part of, and I look forward to you guys being, showing us all proud, and then all of us here today, that we can be proud to be part of Glendora. So thank you.
Thank you. The last card that I have is for Rebecca Bishop. I'll ask if anybody else wants to. Yep, thanks.
evening. I'm Rebecca. Good evening. I'm Rebecca Bishop, and I'm a Glendora resident. I can't remember the last time I showed up to a meeting excited to speak. Tonight, however, is different. Gary, I'm so delighted that Glendora residents have faith in you again after being a well-respected mayor. I can't wait for you to be a voice of reason and stability for this board. Paul, everyone who I've spoken to has nothing but wonderful things to say about your time as principal at GHS. You have connections with students and you understand their needs. Thank you for being willing to speak on behalf of them and their families. This board needs good men, for sure. And Anne Marie and Carrie, also in attendance tonight, want to send their congratulations to you both as you take your seats on this board. And Monica, in your campaign, you spoke about putting students first, and I am anxious to see you do that as you listen to students' parents and their concerns, something this board has not done for the majority of concerned families for over 2 years. And it was nice to meet you all. Thank you.
I saw that Mr. Jean Lopez wanted to make a comment, so if you'll fill out a card, come on up, and then if there's anybody else after him that might like to make a comment that wasn't here in time to fill out the comment cards, I'll give you the opportunity to do so.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Jean Lopez. I am a resident and parent of two Glendora High School students, Catalina and Carly, a senior and a sophomore at school today. And my wife is also a teacher here at Glendora Unified School District. And I am a member of the Community Committee on Ethnic Studies, as some of you know. And we haven't heard a lot about what the next steps for our committee will be. I look to Dr. DeGrazio to see if we can't receive information before the end of the year, so that we know where we stand and where and when we can begin to meet again. I asked at the last meeting that we share our emails, and that might be challenging because some of the committee members didn't want to expose their email information. So I suggest this, that you reach out to each one of us and confirm whether or not we're willing to communicate with each other outside of a Google process. If we just can have phone numbers and emails and begin to communicate with each other and begin to ratify what we should be getting close to now. The model curriculum on ethnic studies needs to be completed by the fall of 2025. Not completed, it needs to be taught in school year 2025. It's only a couple years away. And if we don't continue to work on the ethnic studies program and help develop curriculum, I don't even think we have a teacher committee yet at this point. And so we need to begin looking for volunteers of teachers K through 12 on who will take on ethnic studies. So that's important as well. And that's my request to you all, is that you prioritize this. It's a very big issue within the committee, that we have ethnic studies, and that the ethnic studies that we deliver is fair for everyone. So I'm reaching out to you all for that, and I hope to hear from at least Dr. DeGrazio, letting us know that we have a meeting, we have a facilitator, and perhaps someone on the committee could share, co-chair responsibilities and begin facilitating these meetings until we do have someone from the district who can support us. So with that, I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Is there anybody else in attendance that would like to speak tonight? Okay. Well, I thank you all very much for your public comments. We're going to move right along to oral reports. 12.1 is going to be our student board member report. Ms. Chen.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. My name is Lavina Chen, and I will be reporting on the following schools today: Lefebvre Elementary, Sellers Elementary, Goddard Middle School, Whitcomb High School, and Glendora High School. To start off, I will begin with Lefebvre Elementary. November was a busy month for LaFetra. Over Thanksgiving break, there were 26 entries submitted in the November Gratitude Writing Challenge. Students were tasked with defining gratitude, describing ways we can show gratitude, and providing examples of things and people for which they are thankful for. Grade level winning essays will be read during the student recognition assemblies on December 9th, and students will be awarded a special certificate for taking on the special project during their break. PTA is busy planning a family holiday event on December 16th. The evening will include hot cocoa, holiday music, crafts, and family fun. Rumor has it that Santa may make a special appearance with photo opportunities for all. LaFetra is once again partnering with the local fire department and the Sparks of Love program to collect donated toys for needy families in our community. LaFetra would like to thank Julie Gonzalez for coordinating this community outreach activity, and they will be collecting unwrapped toys through December 16th in LaFetra office. To conclude, 53 of 70 students achieved the November Reading Challenge by surpassing their October reading fluency scores by more than 10 words per minute. Mrs. Alaf, the amazing interventionalist, is awarding students with special certificates and a milk and cookie celebration. LaFetra is so proud of their readers. Next, Sellers Elementary. On November 4th, Sellers had their first Vikings Awards assemblies for grades 1st through 5th. Parents were ecstatic to attend the assemblies after a long halt from COVID. Sellers PTA is sponsoring the Great Artist Program with all grade levels participating, and many parent volunteers are helping with the fun activity for their students. Additionally, PTA is hosting a toy drive, and these gifts will be donated to DCFS in Glendora. On December 7th, Goddard Middle School ASB students came to read to the kindergarten classes. The students were very enthusiastic, and the students were very happy to listen to these stories told by the fantastic middle schoolers. On December 9th, a movie night was sponsored by the PTA for Sellers families to enjoy time together and watch the famous Elf movie. Santa made a special appearance with photo opportunities for all. Next, Goddard Middle School. Goddard Middle School has been busy. To start off, Giving Tuesday was a huge success. Goddard's principal and Goddard teachers and staff would like to thank the parents, students, and the community for their generous donations and support of Goddard Middle School. Students were recognized on Tuesday with their traditional student recognition lunches. Teachers presented students with awards and had lunch with them to award them for their wonderful classroom behavior. Goddard students were recognized with Goddard Way cards for upholding the Goddard Way virtues. Webb hosted a movie night on Friday that allowed 6th grade students to attend this event with their Webb leaders. Tryouts for league basketball took place last week, and the season will start right after winter break. Goddard is having a book fair during the week of December 12th through the 16th. Spirit Week activities are planned for the week leading up to winter break. Students can send Christmas grams to one another and participate in Spirit Week dress-up. Goddard ASB students visited Sellers Elementary on Wednesday to read to the kindergarten classes. The students had a great time and will be planning to do it again in the spring. Next, Whitcomb High School. As the first semester draws to an end, Whitcomb seniors are doing everything they can to finish strong and get their credits. The juniors are doing the same, but it is the most noticeable with the seniors. Whitcomb administration will be meeting with GHS counselors this week to discuss which students will be making their way to Whitcomb and who will be returning to GHS when the second semester rolls around. Whitcomb is anticipating 10 to 15 students heading to their campus and 2 to 3 students heading back to GHS. Thanks to the generosity of the community and GEF members, Whitcomb has reached their financial goal and will be purchasing a great deal of PE and athletic equipment for the students. Some more great news for Whitcomb. This year's prom will be held at the Glendora Country Club at the end of March. This event will return after a year postponement due to the health issues of the various venues. Leadership is preparing for the annual Make-A-Wish activity that will be held on the last day of school before winter break. Each student will be provided with a nice lunch and will receive a nice gift card that has been donated by staff members, parents, district personnel, and community members. Lastly, Glendora High. Glendora High has been wrapping up the first semester. On December 3rd, ASB hosted a senior graduation fair in the event center that allowed senior students along with their parents to come and order gear for graduation. There were many different stations that sold items such as a cap and gown, grab night tickets, banners, and more. On December 9th, ASB hosted Club Grub No. 2, which gave clubs another opportunity to raise funding for their programs. There were a variety of things being sold at lunch, and our students really enjoyed it. Today kicked off our Holiday Spirit Week that welcomes the whole campus to come together and celebrate our last week before the winter break. There is a simple dress-up for every day of the week to keep the holiday spirits up and to spread joy throughout campus. Tomorrow, December 13th, there will be a student semester luncheon sponsored by ASB, where we honor students that were chosen by the teachers to celebrate their academic achievement and marvelous classroom behavior. Then the next day, on Wednesday the 14th, ASB will host their annual Cocoa and Cram event that welcomes students to come join their friends to study for finals. There will be teachers from several departments on campus offering support and tutors from the NHS Club. There will be free hot chocolate served and tables all around for a productive studying session. Choir had their annual Sounds of Noel concert that was well attended by a Glendora community, and as always, our choirs did spectacular. Choir also performed at the Lefebvre Center last week for the senior lunch and would like to thank the Rotary Club for their support. Now choir is getting ready for their competition season next semester. Orchestra just performed their annual winter concert for students and families on December 8th in an event center. It was packed and they put on a fabulous concert. Also, we would like to give a huge congrats to our marching band as they received first place in street championships. Winter sports have kicked off. We're excited to see what this season holds for our boys and girls soccer teams, boys and girls basketball teams, girls water polo, and wrestling team. Thank you.
That was quite a report. Thank you very much. Okay, we are going to move along to comments from the members of the Board of Education, and traditionally, the Vice President goes first. Mr. Clifford.
Well, I just want to say thank you to everyone. It was a great time refreshing myself walking through the city of Glendora over on the end that I live on, the east end, talking to people I haven't talked to in a while, but I'm proud to sit up here. I'm proud for our parents and teachers, employees. A lot of Glendora history to this seat, and I've been around for a long time in some other leadership roles in the community. So I pledge to serve you to the best of my ability, whether it's a school issue or other issue. My email and phone number are available to anybody who wants it. And if you have any questions after the meetings, just hang around and I'll be here to talk to you. Thank you.
Mrs. Garcia?
I did write it down because I wanted to keep it nice and concise. So first and foremost, I'm honored to be elected and to be able to sit at this seat. I don't take the enormity of this responsibility lightly, and thank you. Thank you for making it possible. To our community members in District 2 and Glendora community at large that's supporting my campaign in so many ways, thank you. Before turning the page and moving forward, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge that these last couple of years have been very difficult for our community as a whole. Everyone in our community has struggled to some degree. I know that some may be disappointed with the results of this election, and I do not disregard how close this race was. I am aware, and again, I don't disregard it. With that, I want to thank and recognize the dedication of everyone who stepped up to serve our community these last few years, specifically the current and outgoing board members. My opponent and fellow mom, Shauna Elias, thank you for stepping up and willing to represent our community. And my fellow incoming board members, Gary Clifford and Paul Lopez. I am honored to serve on this board with you all. And I ask that we come together and give us all an opportunity to do what we have been elected to do. As I promised throughout my campaign, I am committed to working in collaboration with this board to ensure our district is putting our students first and that we are always making decisions that move our district forward. To that end, my first order of business is to listen and learn. I want to learn from my colleagues on the board, our administrators, our teachers, and our staff. I want to listen to the concerns of our teachers, our students, and all stakeholders. One of my favorite quotes that I try to live by is, "Be the change you want to see in the world." I realize that me sitting as the first elected woman of color on GUSD board is a change that a lot of you have been wanting to see, and I want you to be proud, and I want to thank you for making that possible. I have been an active volunteer in this community for over a decade. No, for nearly a decade, let's keep it honest. And I am ready to do the work I was elected to do. I am looking forward to continuing to serve this community as your elected board member, so thank you for giving me that honor and opportunity.
Mr. Lopez.
Good evening, everybody. I too am honored to serve on the board. My route was a little easier. since nobody ran against me in Area 3, and I think that speaks volumes. We have to bring the unity back to community. We're divided in a lot of ways, our community, and we have been divided for a couple of years. But there's no way we can operate as a community, as a city. Can we do the best thing for our kids if we continue to be divided? So that's one of the promises that I will make. We will work hard to bring our community back together. Healing has to be done within our staff and our administrative staff and some of the things maybe that have happened in the school district in the past. I promise to continue to, as I always have, listen, learn, and put things in place that people need. We're hurting now. We have to focus on the relationship part. That's what education is. Everybody talks about content. They talk about different things, things that are coming up. And I know we talk about ethnic studies. That is super important as content that we have to move forward with. But we have to remember the relationship piece as far as education goes, because that's what it's about. We have to know the name, face stories of our kids. We have to know the name, face stories of our staff, and important as community members and board members. Know who we are. I was born and raised in Glendora, and I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of change. I was at 31. I was 31 years at Glendora High School. I bet you guys didn't know that, did you? 31 years. I was 31 years at Glendora High School. 10 years as principal. I'm sure she remembers. So I put a lot of work into our community with service clubs and volunteering with the different youth sports and things like that. But we have to make sure that we're getting connected again. Our students will survive and they will thrive in a connected community. So we have to make sure we get there. And remember, we focus on people. Every student, every day. That's what we have to live by. A lot of people will say all students. We say every student, every day. That has a different meaning. That means we're focusing on every student and what their need is as a student in our district. So we have to make sure we get there. It's going to take a lot of hard work, but we can. Remember name, face, story. Remember to put that out there. It's okay to tell people your story because they have to know where you come from. There's a lot of people, a lot of kids struggling in our district. We have to know where they came from and how we can help and how we can support. That's our job. Support kids, support staff, support our administration and our community.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Mrs. Merkley.
Well, I'd like to welcome the new board members. It's fun to have new faces up here, and I know that we will work well together. It'll be good. Just have a couple of things. It was fun to be able to ride in the parade. It was a beautiful day. So grateful for that. I always love the parade. I would like to congratulate Matthias Oliveras. He received the Youth Recognition Award today. Back in, it was October, he's on cross country, and there was a race, and someone from Thousand Oaks tripped and fell, and he was being trampled, and Matthias pulled him off of the trail and stayed with him till his coaches and the paramedics could get there. And that young man had a concussion. I mean, cross country, a race, you don't really expect to get a concussion. So really congratulations to Matthias Oliveras. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Merkley. I do want to start off by saying thank you for your service as president for the past year. You led this, yes. It has been an interesting few years for school boards all over the country, and takes a special person to lead through, and I appreciate your service that way. I do want to congratulate Mr. Clifford, Mrs. Garcia, and Mr. Lopez on their the seats that they fill now, and I look forward to working with each of them individually and together. I also want to thank Ms. Borg and Mrs. And I think it's Elias. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm saying it correctly, for their hard-worked campaigns and commitment to the community. It really was a slog for a lot of months, and it was in commitment to our community and our students. And so I really do want to recognize all of these people. We as a group spent a few days together after the Thanksgiving break at the California School Board Association meeting, and I personally always come away from that meeting sort of revived and rejuvenated. I think it makes all of our administrators nervous because we come up with a lot of really big ideas and meet a lot of different firms that are willing to come in and help us do more things, all of that. But the general feel of this California School Board Association meeting was what Mr. Lopez touched on. Leading with love, leading with relationships, leading with getting to know kids, leading with putting the relationships before everything else, and then everything else will come behind that. And that really resonated with me throughout the entire meeting, and is something that I look forward to bringing, not that we haven't been doing that, but making maybe a more concerted effort in leading with love and leading with the relationships. Another big theme in the sessions that I attended is listening to the students, really sitting down with the students, and as we start to make process changes or do different things, that we evolve the students into the process with us, not just put the process on top of the student. Involve them in the process with us. So I'm sorry, Ms. Chen, I may ask you more questions throughout the, not tonight, I'm not gonna do it tonight. But I do think that the student voice and your feedback, when we have a presentation from Citrus College about what the dual enrollment looks like or what you hear, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, I'm not trying to do anything like that, but hearing directly from our students and how these programs that we're choosing to engage in as a school district, I think it's really helpful to hear the student voice. So I won't put you on the spot, but I do want to hear more from you. Thank you. Finally, well, almost finally, I enjoyed spending an evening with Mr. Granquist, who was right back there a minute ago, okay, and Mr. Waters from Glendora Teachers Association. We had a lovely holiday dinner with those two, along with the California Teachers Association, and I look forward to working with GTA this year and every year and keeping the lines of communication wide open between our organizations. I do want to wish everyone, this is going to be the last school board meeting we have of this calendar year, so I do want to wish everybody a happy, healthy, and restful holiday season, and I'm going to beg our teachers and our staff members to truly take the break, to truly just decompress and spend time with your families, spend time with your loved ones. You work administrators, I know you guys are awful at this, but please, I'm begging you to really unplug and spend time with your family, friends, loved ones, and enjoy your break. Have a happy, healthy, and restful holiday season. That's it for me, and we're going to move right along to the superintendent report, and Dr. DeGrazia, please.
Thank you, President Reuter, members of the board. Congratulations to our newest board members, Ms. Garcia, Mr. Lopez, Mr. Clifford. Welcome. Look forward to working with you this future year. Happy holidays, everyone. It has been a successful, a festive, jam-packed holiday program season. You saw some evidence of it tonight. We have some special talent. It starts really in 4th grade with our elementary music program, and we saw jam-packed concerts for Cullen, Stanton, and LaFetra over the past week at Glendora High School, and of course the middle schools in conjunction with GHS with the Sounds of Noel, and through some of the orchestra events as well. Pretty amazing stuff. First semester ends very soon, December 21st. I know, Lavina, you've got some studying to do for some finals that are coming up, so we don't hesitate to slide right out when you need to. But that's going to come up quick. School will be back in session on a Wednesday as well, so that's unique to recall, Wednesday to Wednesday. Wednesday we're in schedule, in session through the 21st, and then back January 4th on a Wednesday. Congratulations, and Lavina mentioned it as well in her report, congratulations to GHS pageantry, band and pageantry, for their win in the prestigious Arcadia tournament. That's a big competition to win. They're also preparing for their Bandorama on January 13th at 6 p.m. And we recently were at GHS last week to recognize senior Anthony Hom with the Navy ROTC full ride scholarship. He was surprised by the military branch there for that honor. It's a huge, huge honor. Glendora Ed Foundation, thanks to them for their annual Giving Tuesday event. Raised over nearly $108,000 for the betterment of our students through school-specific projects, from modernizing playground equipment to outfitting wellness rooms. We thank them. Thank you, Glendora Ed Foundation. Parents, you will be hearing more about the California School Dashboard from your principals if you haven't already. It's expected later this week. It's an update, a status check as to where we are as school, as specific schools or a school district. And it's more a cell phone bar check this year, a status check until we get some more test scores next year. And then we can compare year to year after that with the different levels. You're going to hear from Ms. Fakar and Ms. Walzak soon about the first interim. They're going to share the budget report. It will confirm that the state of the district's financial standing remains strong. And we want to thank our entire fiscal services team for their ongoing work to ensure that we continue to be good stewards of the resources the state and our community provides us. And finally, we wish all families a wonderful holiday season and the happiest of New Year's. Please enjoy your break safely, and we look forward to seeing you all back in action on January 4th. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. DeGrazia. As we've been anticipating for a long time now, Mrs. Walzak, if you'd please come on up as we move on to our discussion action items. 13.1, approving the 2022-2023.
Oh man, they're all leaving.
I
Just as it's getting exciting.
They probably want to just go home and watch it on TV, don't you think?
Oh, that's it.
Oh, that's it. They're heading home to get in their pajamas and watch from home. That's exactly right. I'd love to bring Mrs. Walzak and Mrs. Vakar up to talk about our first interim report as presented, please.
No, they can do it afterwards. No, I'm gonna stay right here. Okay. All righty. Well, first of all, thank you very much, Mrs. Walzak. Thank you for presenting here this evening with us. We are very excited in Fiscal Services to tell you about our first interim report. And a little bit about what this is that this is one of the 3 most important financial statements that we bring to the board so that you can check, where we're at, help us monitor what needs to be done for our school district and what we did with our commitments when we first adopted our budget. Those reports happen for the first interim, which is happening right now. It really reports from July 1 through October 31st. Any kind of changes that would have happened to our budget. So when we do our budget, we do it based on a lot of assumptions. And those assumptions sometimes change. Sometimes it comes with good news, and sometimes it comes with bad news. This year it came with good news. So that's a good thing. Our second interim will be actually reporting from July 1st all the way through January 31st. So although it sounds like it's like right around the corner, and it is, there's a lot of things that happen in that short period of time between October through January 31st. And that really then sets us up for what we need to do with building our new budget as we move forward and get ready for a budget adoption for June. The other report that you'll hear about is our actual audit actuals, and that happens in September. We usually bring that back to you, and that covers the whole prior year and how we closed out our books. With that, our next slide, please. We go 2 slides. One more. Thank you. So, as I shared, it reports on our financial projections and what we've learned. It also allows the district to update and adopt the budget with the most current data that's out there for our adopted budget. It also helps determine our health and our statistics. With that, there's 3 things I want you to think about when Mrs. Walzak is reporting. I want you to think about the adjusted COLA that's out there. The actual COLA is 13.26%. We initially projected it was at 6.56% when we did our budget, and it actually has grown with an additional 6.7%. So there's some growth there. You also need to listen very closely to about the unduplicated pupil count and the changes that happen with that. That has to do with how we collected data, especially with our free and reduced lunch counts. And it looks high. It will probably get readjusted, so something to pay attention to. And then categorical funded grants that we received since our budget was adopted. We received a lot of grants, one for arts, for after-school programs that we have. And with that, we have put those back into our report for our first interim. And with that, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Mrs. Walzak, who's worked really hard on our first interim.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Vakar. Good evening, esteemed board members, Dr. DeGrazia, community members. Thank you for coming for tonight's meeting. So moving right along, some of the first interim adjustments that we made including the beginning fund balances and carryovers. When we presented the budget in June, the books have not been closed. So once we closed the books in September, when we presented the unaudited actuals, we had made some adjustments for the some of the carryovers and categoricals, expenses and revenues. The next one is the COLA adjustment that Mrs. Vakar mentioned. When we did the budget, it was 6.56, and a few months ago, they adjusted it with an additional 6.7% COLA adjustment. So now we have a total of 13.26. With that said, we then adjusted our LCFF revenue, increasing it by $2.4 million. The next in line that we adjusted is the salaries and benefits. Prior to during the budget adoption, we included a 3% salary increase. After the negotiations took place, we had a total of 6% salary increase, 5% on schedule and 1% off schedule. So the additional 3% was adjusted, which is about roughly a little over 1.5 to $2 million. And then also, we adjusted it for the new block grants. We received 3 grants. One is the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant. That's a total of $5.1 million, and we have until June of 2028 to spend. Next one is the Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Block Grant, which is $4,132,982, and we have until June of 2026 to spend. The next one is the Expanded Learning Opportunity Program. This one is not a one-time thing. This is ongoing, so every year we will be getting an allocation based on our P2 ADA. The total for those grants is roughly $11.2 million. Next is our ADA. So in the past, we've been funded on the greater of the current year ADA or the prior year ADA because of all the declining enrollment happening throughout the U.S. And then this year we were supposed to do the ADA cliff, where we were getting funded at roughly 6,900, and our ADA last year was only about 6,200. So that's a big difference. So during the budget in May, the governor proposed a new funding model, which is basically you take your 3 years ADA and then average that out, and that's what you would be getting funded on. So Glendora is being funded on the computed 3-year average. As an illustration, so for 21-22, our actual regular ADA is 6,188.15. 2021-20 was 6,863.92, and same with 2020. So basically in 2020, we did not do a P2 report. We didn't have to do that. So whatever was our ADA for 2019 was basically carried over into 2020. So the average for those 3 years is 6,638.66. And then we add to that the annual ADA as well as the county special ed. The total that we are being funded for 22-23 is 6,669.58. So not too much discrepancy from where we were funded last year. Another thing, one of the other assumption is the unduplicated pupil count. So part of our LCFF formula is the supplemental grant. The supplemental grant is based on the unduplicated pupil count. In the past, we were roughly at about 29.5%. I believe last year it went up by about 10%. And so the 3-year rolling average this year increased to 39.4%. Again, adjusted COLA went up, so the total is 13.26%, which changed the LCFF by $2.4 million. Moving along, next slide, please. So just breaking down the unrestricted general fund balance components. We have to have a minimum 3% set aside for reserve for economic uncertainties. That's $2.2,828,362, And then we have the assigned reserve balance. Part of that balance is, a couple of years ago, the board, what do you call it? The board wanted an additional 3% to bump up the reserve from 3% to
padded it.
6%. So part of that reserve is an additional 2.8 million. And then we have the unrestricted lottery dollars in there, which is 1,322,049, and then $40,000 in stores and cash. And then next part of the fund balance is the commitment to GASB 54 of 6 million, and that was board approved back in September of 2022. And then the unappropriated fund balance that we have left is 2.4 million, which leaves us with a total unrestricted fund balance of 15,440,509. Next slide, please. So on the general fund revenues, we have just breaking it down between what changed between first interim and adopted budget. The LCFF entitlement, as we discussed, it went up by 2.4 million. Federal revenue went up by 2 million. Other state revenue went up by 10,865,000, and that's because of all of the grants I had mentioned earlier. And then the local revenue went up by 1.4, and that's due to the AB 602 or the SELPA special ed allocation that we receive, and that also increased. On the general fund expenditures, we have the classified, the salaries going up, certificated salaries, classified salaries, employee benefits, and that's definitely can be attributed to the adjustments that we did for the salary negotiation. And then everything else increased as well. We had books and supplies, services and operating expenditures, capital outlay, and other indirect cost. Next slide, please. This is on this one, this is the total of the general fund, unrestricted and restricted fund balance. So as mentioned earlier, cash in stores, we have, for the interim, we have 40,000, assigned 4,150,411. We have restricted fund balance of 16,207,391, and the increase, it increased significantly again because of those grants. And then reserved for economic uncertainty is 2.8 million. Committed to Fund 17 is $6 million. I just kind of want to say something a little briefly about Fund 17. So Fund 17, when it was approved, it was basically to set aside some of the things that can happen that's not in the budget or that's we don't receive money for. For example, like we might do technology refresh. The pool at the GHS pools is needing a lot of work. So we set aside those were some of the items that were set aside to help us do those things. Also the CTE pathways and things like that. Next slide, please. So for the multi-year projection for 2022-23, we have the cost of living adjustment at 6.56, but we were funded at 13.26. For 2023-24, we have 5.38%. 2024-25 is 4.02. Again, the duplicated pupil count, it's showing increasing right now, but that's going to change after some of the data is picked up because this data is based on, for this current year, the projection that is being used by LACO is the prior year, and I believe this year we're projecting a decrease, so that number will probably decrease. And then the next line items, we're basically just breaking down how much LCFF dollars per ADA we're getting for each of those 3 years, and the amount varies by grade span. We have K through 3, 4 to 6, 7 through 8, and 9 through 12. Next slide, please. So for the next slide, we're still working on our enrollment. So as you all know, we've been in declining enrollment for the past few years. For the current year, 2022-23, we're about right on. We had projected 6,575 in enrollment, and when I checked today, it was at 6,500 66, so, so off by 9, so that's good. The average daily attendance is basically the attendance rate. In the past, our attendance rate has been about 97%, but since the pandemic, it's been about 92%. So that's what we're calculating our ADA to be, 92%. So we'll see how this year goes. Our P1 reporting is coming up due in December, so we'll see where that stands. If we see a significant increase, then we'll look at increasing our projection for the rest of the year as well as the next 2 years. So for the LCFF projection, for the funded ADA, since we're still using the computed 3-year average, we haven't heard yet from the governor whether or not this is going to stick or they're going to take it away. So we'll see how we'll see where we go. But for right now, that's what we're using. So for the LCFF projection for those next 3 years, this year it's been updated to $75,088,923. For 23-24, we have $76,685,618, and for 24-25, $76,274,204. As far as salaries negotiation, we have both GTA and CSA had the same for 23-24, which is 5% on schedule and 1% off schedule. For 23-24, GTA settled for 2% off schedule, and then 24-25 is 2% on schedule. So we're basically putting the 2% off schedule that they get for 24-25 into the schedule next year, and then CSCA is pending negotiations. And on those, I know we settled for 23-24, 24-25. However, there was a caveat on the agreement that if there's any changes, whether it goes up or down, that we would go back to the table. Next is the STRS and PERS. We continue to see actually it kind of went down a little bit. It's been going up in the past, but CalSTRS is steady at 19.1%. CalPERS this year we had 25.37, and then 23-24 went down to 25.2, and then 24-25 is 24.6. We'll see how it goes when we go to the governor's budget in January. Unemployment insurance rate is expected to go down from 0.5% to 0.2% in the next 2 years. We still have the routine restricted maintenance that we have to budget for, which is 3% of general fund expenditures. Okay,
One more slide.
Next. What are some of the challenges that we have for the school districts? Again, we have declining enrollment. Hopefully it will even out, but we'll, again, like I said, we'll see how it goes. Declining attendance rate. Again, for this year, we'll get a better idea where we stand now that we're out of the pandemic and it's been 2 years since. Duplicated pupil count is most likely going to change because of the 3-year rolling average, and this year's actual will most likely decrease. We have the health and welfare benefit, which continues to just increase every year. We have the step and column salaries adjustment, which is about 1% and 1.1%, and then CalSTRS and CalSPERS pension contribution. For the unduplicated pupil count, if it decreases to the amount that we expect it to be, the effect on our dollars is about 1.5 to 2 million less in LCFF funding. Next is the state budget outlook. The LAO, which is the Legislative Analyst Office, they issued a projection in November to see what they're looking at. So they're projecting that our state is facing about a $24 billion budget deficit. They're projecting lower projected state revenues, and that contribution amount to the state is required into the state reserve. And then the impact on the schools is a little bit less because they have a lot of reserve. We have a lot of reserve in the state's Proposition 98. LAO is also projecting that over the next several years, a combination of growth in the Proposition 98 guarantee and required reserve withdrawals will cover the statutory COLA. However, with that, they're still suggesting the reduction of ongoing expenditures, reducing the size of the COLA, and they're also recommending pausing some of the large augmentation. This is basically LAO telling the state that, okay, you know, you have all these things and you're facing a budget deficit, but if we have these one-time things, it could happen, but again, we don't know. It could happen, but they could pause some of this big augmentation grants that we're getting for the coming years. So one of the things that we asked is that we certified this first interim report positive. We have a projected ending general fund balance of above 3%, which is the required minimum. Positive certification indicates that the district will be able to meet its financial obligation for the current and the 2 subsequent fiscal years. What are the next steps? The next step is we have to submit the first interim report to LACO for review. We have the P1 ADA report, which is due in January. And then the governor releases his projected 2023-24 state budget no later than January 10th. And then after that, we have the second interim, which is due March 15th. Then we have the P2 report, which is due in April, and then the budget in June. Fun stuff.
Thank you, Mrs. Walzak.
That concludes our presentation.
So with that, we would love to be able to entertain any questions you might have. I did want to point out one more thing. When we posted the agenda, there was an error on the page that goes to LA County. It's on line 10. It said that we did not meet our obligation. That's not true. If you read further down, it said met. We realized there was an error somehow, and we were able to correct it, and we'd like to thank Mrs. Merkley for helping us with that. She's had some keen eyes. Yes.
Who has questions?
Motion first.
Motion first and then discussion.
Okay, may I please have a motion to approve the 2022-2023 first interim report as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mrs. Merkley moved and Mr. Clifford second. Now, let's open up for discussion. Who has questions?
I have one, just one.
Okay.
I know that with the average daily attendance being so low, and I know that there are many contacts are being made. We received something like, is it 7,000 contacts have been made this year? And does that help? When a student or a student's family is contacted, I don't know, do you know this question? This answer?
So I think.
Does it help? Do they come back?
So I think the 7,000 contacts are counselors that get to do some outreach services and some counseling, and that really falls into our student services. And I know we've got our director in the back, and yeah. So does it help? Yes. Does it help? Because I think, you know, to be able, anything you can do to keep kids engaged and keep them at school obviously helps. We also have had some challenges, obviously, with the 3 different kinds of sicknesses that are out there, right? COVID, RSV, and the flu. And so we can't forget what those challenges have been. And I think parents and our students have been extremely responsible, right? They know when to stay home and they know when to send their kids back. And so, you know, we're navigating that. I think we're doing better than the average bear out there from a school district standpoint.
But
So
we always do, because our average is really quite high
It is
compared
quite
to other
high.
school districts.
So really, where you're at today really isn't all that low when you look at the overall pandemic situation. We're still getting kids in here to be able to learn, and it's because of all of our great support services that we've actually built in. You want to say anything about that?
Well, every month our administrators, our counselors are sending letters home, making contact with students. We're actually doing home visits to our chronic absentee students to encourage them to come. But like Mrs. Vicar said, a lot of our decrease is really due to illness. Our kids want to be in school and be engaged. Our teachers are doing an incredible job.
And those contacts, I think, are the pieces that really help support them with becoming more academically engaged, to be able to talk about any challenges that they might have. And so those support systems have been very, very valuable to our school district.
And that every child that
Every
you were
child,
saying.
every day. In fact, our home hospital applications have gone through the roof this year just because so many students have been out for a variety of illnesses or mental health concerns and need, respite in our home hospital teachers. And so we've lots of applications this year, probably almost about 3 times compared to 3 years ago.
One of the things I know that the board did when we adopted our budget is that we put many of our support intervention specialists back into our regular budget, and we didn't keep them underneath the ESSER funds. We actually made a shift and a commitment to be able to want to keep them. And so that was important. We also offer contracts.
I had a question about, I know you said that we weren't sure what they were going to do as far as that 3-year average is concerned with ADA. I also remember there was a bill for figuring out these numbers based on enrollment rather than attendance. Has there been any resolution?
There has not been.
Okay.
It's kind of dead right now.
It's dead?
Well, I haven't heard anything, but we haven't.
Yeah, actually,
since this third option came out, that's kind of been.
That seems to be the front runner, is the 3-year average seems to be more. And what do you think about that?
One of the things that we're hearing is that it's probably going to be through the year 2025, and then they're going to make some other decisions at that point.
Because that kind of washes everybody. It doesn't wash everybody through COVID, though.
No, it doesn't, but I think it keeps everybody from completely making the huge dive off that cliff, and that was really the problem. As many of you may recall from some of the sessions that we talked about was that big cliffhanger. If we had gone back to our regular numbers, it was almost 800 students that we would have lost. So having something that kind of helps softens it is helpful, and the fact that the state is doing fairly well in its revenues has been, a player in being able to allow for that. So right now, that seemed to be the most amicable across the majority of the districts. Could there be a couple models in the future? Maybe.
Sure.
Maybe there's some talk about, if this model is better for you, then use this one. If this model is better, you'll use this one. And they're going to let districts decide. A district like Glendora does not receive very many supplemental or concentration dollars, and so we're really off of our base grant for the most part.
Any additional questions?
Yeah, just quickly, so the health benefits, and I know that was renegotiated, but I know there's not a PPO option. I mean, when do you go back to the table for the health benefits? Because right now, we have people that can't access doctors that they need to access, they're paying out of pocket. So they may get a little bit of a raise, but that PPO option is pretty important to a lot of our employees. So we want to make sure that they're covered in every way that we can so that they can get the care needed for whatever ailment that they have. So has there been any discussion about?
We would be going back in the springtime and bringing back in the benefits committee together and then looking at new potential plans. Last year we were on a program called Simple Pay, which is where the district was self-funded. We made a shift to go back into the Aetna network to ensure that we could continue all of our services and do it in an affordable way. In the past, there were very few people that were actually on the PPO plan. It was something that was some of the research that we had looked at, but we are hearing from many of our employees that they would like to see the PPO plan returned.
It doesn't matter if there's a few. If there's a few, there's a few. And if they need the care, they should get the care that they need. So I think we should have those options available to our employees.
Any other questions? Okay. I don't remember who moved and I don't remember who second, but all those in favor? Aye. You have it? Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you very much, Mrs. Walzak. Thank you. Okay. Item 13.2, and this is exciting, Mr. Portugal is here. Approve/ratify the California Schools Healthy Air Plumbing and Efficiency Program Grant Agreement Resolution number 22-23-08 as presented. May I have a motion, please?
So
Yes?
Second.
Mr. Lopez, thank you very much.
Excellent.
Mr. Portugal?
Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent DeGrazia, esteemed colleagues and friends. I am here to talk a little bit about the CalShape program. We are actually going to receive a little bit over $1 million that is gonna be going strictly to all HVAC systems and indoor air quality. During the Christmas break, we are actually meeting up with the contractors who are gonna be going through our whole entire system as far as the HVAC units and coming up with a spreadsheet to let us know the status update and any items that need to be either replaced or looked at for efficiency. All classrooms are gonna be upgraded with CO2 readers on the actual thermostats to make sure that we are producing the best indoor air quality for student staff so that they can continue doing all their teaching on board. We are also gonna do a different, in conjunction, we also have another grant, which is the SR funds that we have also received. So hopefully by the end of the 2-year cycle with all the funding that we are receiving, we will be able to replace, I wanna say 75 to 80 units on all portables. And we're gonna definitely make sure that they're efficient, economizers are working, and that way we could make sure that all CO2 levels on the indoor are met and changed. And that's about it. I mean, I could follow up with another report once we actually get the report in.
Okay, yeah, we thought when we get $1 million, it was important to bring this to your attention because it's pretty exciting. It's $1 million that we don't have to spend out of our general fund.
That's right. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Portugal?
Thank you for working so hard to get that. We appreciate it.
You did a great job. Thank you so much, Mr. Portugal.
Thank you. Good evening.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Number 13.3, approve/ratify the Pixelot use agreement as presented. May I have a motion, please?
I'll second it.
Okay, I'll give it to Mrs. Merkley and then Mr. Clifford as a second. Mrs.
Yes.
Vicar, thank you.
Absolutely. So I'm excited to be able to present this item. This is in conjunction kind of with the CIF program. There is a vendor that will actually install cameras in several of our locations that we get to select. In talking with the high school, we have selected what's known as the gym, the small gym event center. Small gym's important for the world of Pixelot, to call it that, versus the event center. And then the swimming pool. And the reason being is because the idea is that they're gonna show sports content for the most part that will be on there. However, we will have access to be able to use the cameras also for other types of events and to be able to upload that onto our own YouTube channel for Glendora High School. And this will allow families and community members to buy subscriptions so that they can have access to be able to see our children play. And it's exciting. There's a lot of great sports that are happening, a lot of great events that happen in our high school, and this is one way to be able to expand opportunities for more people to have viewing pleasure.
Any questions about this? I believe we're catching up when it comes to this, that most districts have put this into place. And I think we talked about it a little bit right before COVID, and then we were not here. So I think that this is an opportunity for families to be able to.
There is no cost to us to be able to install these cameras. There's really no cost to the maintenance of it either. Should we pull them out, there is a cost to have them removed. It's a reasonable cost. I don't think that's gonna be something we're gonna do, and I think that we will get a lot more out of it before we'd ever be making that decision, should it become obsolete and there's something else newer, more trendy out there in how things are viewed.
I do have a question. Are the cameras, they're mounted and fixed, so how will you get different views? I mean, like if it's by the swimming pool's one, right?
Yeah, it's gonna have certain angles on it. They are somewhat limited. It doesn't have somebody that's actually manually running it. So it is somewhat of a set scene that you actually see.
But I think there are multiple views at
like
each
multiple
site,
cameras?
and you can sort of toggle between what view you want to watch, like if you're watching it on your computer or doing something like that. For some of Charlie's events, I've been able to toggle like from board to board or whatever the case might be, depending on where you want to be able to watch.
Okay.
So it's not following them, but I think there are a couple of different views that you can toggle between.
Okay, so there's more than just one
fixed
camera there. Okay, and exclusive or non-exclusive? Can you explain that?
Yeah, if it was exclusive, that means that Pixelot would be putting it up on their network, on their channel. And they actually receive, we would receive a little bit greater percentage from the sales of the subscriptions. If we opt to put it onto our own YouTube channel, we receive a little bit lesser, but we also have more flexibility to be able to offer more events that could be then photographed for video purposes.
So which way are we going?
Non-exclusive.
Non-exclusive, okay, all right. Do the kids have to opt in or opt out for the, to be filmed and videoed or whatever?
Yeah, we would have to do an annual notification to let people know what's happening, and we'd also want to post that there is video camera happening, and just like you would with anything else that you would be doing out there. So we would want to make sure that that's well displayed.
Is there a possibility, this just occurred to me, like at the pool, it's kind of outside. Is it like motion detected, for instance, like if it's, midnight and someone jumps in?
I don't believe so.
Okay,
I believe
that would
you
be a
actually-
good thing, though.
That's a different kind of system. There is a system for that.
Any other questions? I have a question. I kind of mentioned it to you, and I did read through the agreement and all that, but I more for our community members to hear as far as the safety aspect and who has access to turn on the recording and, as far as anyone being able to jump in and record students when they're not aware that they are being recorded. Like, who controls that?
It's a good question. It's actually going to require some administrative regulation policy that we'll have to bring forward, and we would want to do that in conjunction with the high school to make sure that we receive plenty of input before we go off and develop that. There are some recommended administrative regs that we could look at and work from there, but it would be the school that would be controlling it.
Thank you.
Just real quick, because I did notice kind of to that, it said that it's not turned on except for scheduled events and maintenance. So that if there's something that's unscheduled, you have to go in, the administrator has to go in.
You actually have to list the time, the date that it's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a little more controlled.
Yeah, we would also be posting it on our network exactly when things would be showed, or on the high school, just like you would show like a football schedule, you would also have the filming schedule that would go like along with it as well.
Sponsorships, the school can sell sponsorships and they keep 100% of that.
They don't keep 100% of it.
That's what it said. Of the sponsorships, it said.
Oh, I'm sorry, the sponsorships.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry, yes, the sponsorships they can. So we have a local company that wants to do something with us on our network. We definitely can sell those sponsorships, yes. I'm sorry. I was thinking of subscriptions. My apologies.
Anything else? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. We're going to move on to consent items now. The Board of Education may consider agenda consent items as a whole or as individual divisions. Any item may be removed by a member of the Board of Education for discussion. I have a couple that I'd like to pull. Are there any other, does anybody else want to pull any of the consent items for individual discussion?
15.2.
I've got that one circled also. Anyone else? Okay, then I'm going to make a motion to approve all consent items except for 15.2 and 16.14. Thank you very much. 15.2 is the acceptance of gifts from Petrel Engineering Group Incorporated as presented. Mrs. Vicar, can you tell us what that gift is, please?
I would very much so like to tell you about that. So, as many of you know, our pool has outlived its life cycle. It's nearly 20 years old. I know people think it was just put in recently, but it's really been there. It has served our students and our population and our families and communities very, very well over the years. It is a shared joint agreement with the city of Glendora. And in looking at what needs to be done, there are some substantial pool renovations that need to take place. With that, we have been in contact with a very generous donor who is willing to do the engineering work for us. That gift is almost $60,000 worth of engineering services, and with that, we will be looking at all the things that need to happen for the pool for us to be able to make the renovations. There is actually an estimated cost that we're putting out there of about $1 million, with a safety net of $1.2 million for us to be able to make those renovations. We know that all the pool equipment has to be replaced. It has definitely outlived its life cycle, and we have nursed it as far as we could possibly nurse it. And then the decking itself also needs to be replaced, along with the layer inside the pool needs to be redone and reglazed.
What I'm hearing you say is the redoing of the pool has become a very high priority for Glendora Unified School
It's an
District.
extremely high priority for us to take care of, and it'll be a project that we'll be working on here over the next year.
Great, thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions about that? All right.
I would-
those,
If I could just, if I could
please.
just add, I would like to thank Mr. Farrell for coming out and spending some time to walk the pool deck with both the city and myself and Tommy Portugal. We learned a lot about the history of the pool and how it was built. And we also look forward to how we could do this in a very cost-effective way to be able to get as much as we possibly can for the betterment of our students for the next 20 years.
For those of you who don't know, Mr. Farrell not only is a very seasoned pool professional, knows what he's doing, he also sat on this Board of Education for
16, 20 years.
yeah, a very long time. So I think we all would agree that we want to thank him for his continued commitment to Glendora Unified and all of our students.
His thing for getting on the board was to get a pool, to get a decent pool.
Okay,
So,
all right, well, good. He's helping us to maintain it as well. So thank you very much to Mr. Farrell. All those in favor?
wait,
Huh?
we never voted on all the other.
I think we got to do this one and the next one and then the rest of them.
You needed to take a unanimous vote on the consent items as a whole, pulling the
Thank
other
you.
two, and then, yes.
All those in favor of approving the consent items except for 15.2 and 16.14? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, sorry about that. Now,
I'll make a motion to accept or give.
second?
Second, or were you seconding?
I was seconding.
I thought you were asking for a second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. The other item that I pulled was 16.14, approve/ratify the consultant agreement securely incorporated as presented. Can I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Ricard, can you tell us a little bit about securely?
I can. Securely is meant to be a security system to be able to help monitor our students when they are on the web, so that we know through either some words or verbiage or other forms of communication what's happening. It'll actually trigger so that we know what's happening and we can reach out and do some additional extensive services to help out. It also allows for our employees to be able to push into students some additional information from an instructional purpose, so that they have access to direct links instructionally that will help them in their studies.
Any questions on that? Digital citizenship is very important in this day and age, and this is just another layer of protection for our students, our staff, our teachers, everyone. So I thank the Ed Services
CTO
for bringing this forward for all of our students. Okay, we have reached item 19.1.
Wait, did you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I'm really in a hurry to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm sorry, everybody.
I move that we adjourn.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you. It was moved by Mrs. Berkeley, seconded by Mr. Lopez. Anything else anybody wants to say this evening? Okay, thank you very much. Then we will adjourn at 9:15 p.m.